morning everyone. Welcome to Godly Play. Have you and your family found somewhere good to sit? Are you ready? Okay. Let's see what our lesson is today. I think you'll probably know what lesson we're going to work on today. Here we go. Yes. This was on the first day, if you remember, and the women had come to the tomb and they'd bought spices to finish the burial. But when they got there, they found the stone had been rolled away, and inside there was nothing, just a white linen cloth. And the women rushed to tell Peter, and they could feel his presence. And Mary was in the garden, and she saw someone. She thought it was the gardener. When he called her name, he said, "Mary," and she knew who it was. She knew she'd seen Jesus. On the second Sunday after Easter, we learnt about the two followers of Jesus going on the road to Emmaus. And it was about 7 miles to Emmaus, and they met a stranger on the road, and the stranger asked them what had been happening, what they were talking about, and they told him about the cross and the tomb and all the things that had happened. And he walked with them, and then when they got to Emmaus, they went for a meal in the inn, and the stranger stayed with them. And the stranger took some bread and broke it, and then they knew it was he. On the third Sunday, we heard about the disciples in a locked room because they were scared of the soldiers, and they were eating a meal, and Jesus had come to them, and Thomas hadn't been there. And it was about 8 days later when they had another meal together, and Thomas was there. And Jesus appeared, and he showed them his hands with the wounds. And he said, "Peace be with you." And he held out his hands for Thomas to touch and said, "Now you can believe. And blessed are the people who believe, even though they haven't seen." Now we have the fourth Sunday. Last week we found out about the disciples going to Galilee where they'd been fishermen, and Peter had taken them out on the boat because they'd all been fishermen, and they spent the night fishing, but nothing had come to the nets. They had nothing, and then they saw a stranger with a fire on the shore who told them to cast the nets out the other side of the boat. And as they pulled the nets in, they were full of fish, and Peter knew it was the Lord, and Peter jumped out and ran to the Lord. And that's when he told them to feed my lambs, feed my sheep. And now it's the fifth Sunday of Easter, and all the disciples are gathered together in Galilee, all of them. And together they went up the mountain to meet Jesus, and he was already there. It was good to see him, even in this new way. But what were they supposed to do now? Listen. He was talking. "All authority in heaven and earth has been given to me." What was he talking about? Then he said something they could understand, but they didn't want to hear. "Go everywhere. Tell my story, even this part. Tell my story to everyone. Show them to be good disciples. Baptize them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, so they can become part of the story." But this was too far. This was too much. But then they heard him say, "I am with you always, even to the end of the age." and then he was gone. So now they went back to Jerusalem, and now they knew what to do. They knew they'd been followers, and now they must lead. They knew they'd been sheep, but now they must be shepherds. They knew they'd come home, and now they had to bring other people home. I wonder which part of all the stories you like best. I wonder if there's part of the story where you find yourself. I wonder if you have anything you'd like to bring to the story, something in your home, something you'd like to put with the story. I wonder.